Welcome back to my channel. Sukai was in tears. What began as a quiet whisper on fan forums soon became major news. Songyun, the beloved actress known for her radiant smile and grounded charm, had been rushed to the hospital due to pregnancy complications. As this news spread, it shook the public not only because of its urgency, but because of the emotional images that followed. Sukai, her husband and fellow actor, standing helplessly in a hospital hallway, face swollen, eyes red, body visibly drained. His tears were not staged. They were not a PR tactic. They were the raw language of fear, love, and desperation. Songyun had suffered from light internal bleeding caused by a condition known as placenta previa, in which the placenta is positioned too low in the uterus. This can be highly dangerous if not treated immediately. Doctors sprang into action the moment she arrived at the emergency ward. She underwent emergency scans, blood transfusions, and was stabilized under careful monitoring. The hours that followed were tense and uncertain. Sukai did not leave her side. He ignored the cameras, the press, and everything else that existed outside that hospital room. All he cared about was her safety and that of the child they were expecting. When Tan's management released a statement confirming that her condition had stabilized, there was a collective sigh of relief. Not only from her inner circle, but from fans who had followed their journey for years. Their relationship had always been sincere and modest in the public eye, but during this critical time, it shone through in its most vulnerable and powerful form. Love was no longer a word on screen, it was now etched into every tear, every sleepless hour, and every whispered prayer. Sukai was not acting. He was not playing a role. He was a husband, terrified and desperate. He was the one who rushed to speak with doctors, who coordinated blood donations, who handled paperwork, who sat silently beside her hospital bed when there was nothing else he could do. In a photo that quickly went viral, his hand tightly clasped hers. His gaze was empty, yet his fingers held hope. On that day, if there were any doubts that real love still existed in this world, they were swept away by the depth of his grief and devotion. Social media was flooded with messages of compassion. Thousands of strangers sent their well wishes. Some offered prayers. Others arranged to deliver nutritious meals to the hospital. A few even volunteered as blood donors, purely in solidarity. Several fellow actors passed along messages of support. In the comment sections of every update, there was a shared sentiment, a kind of emotional unity rare in our fast-moving, often cold digital world. What emerged was more than sympathy, it was a shared reflection. Sukai and Songyun's relationship reminded people that love is not confined to red carpets or fans of ice photo ops. Love reveals itself in crisis, in the quiet corners of hospital rooms, in the smallest gestures made while the heart is breaking. Sukai's tears did not diminish him, they humanized him. They turned him into something far more moving than a celebrity, a man in love, terrified of losing everything that mattered. In the days that followed, Tan remained under close medical supervision. Doctors ordered strict rest, medications to stabilize her condition, and close monitoring of both her blood pressure and the baby's heartbeat. Sukai juggled his work commitments with caring for her. He did not fully halt his filming schedule but adjusted it to allow him to return home earlier each day. He transitioned fluidly from being a national star to being a deeply attentive husband and soon-to-be father. He did not seek praise for it. It was simply what love called him to do. As Tan gradually improved, her medical team confirmed that if no further complications arose, the pregnancy could continue safely until a viable birth date. This was met with joy across fan communities. Some called it a small miracle. Others simply cried tears of relief. One video clip showed Sukai softly reading aloud to Tan in the hospital, his voice low and calm. Maybe he was reading for her, or for their unborn child, or perhaps for himself. In that moment, it didn't matter. What mattered was that hope had found a voice. This ordeal also sparked public awareness. The media began running articles explaining the risks of placenta previa. Health forums lit up with questions about symptoms, prenatal care, and emergency signs. Doctors began posting short educational videos online. Couples shared their own stories. A wave of collective learning emerged from this deeply personal pain, and it became something bigger, a reminder that maternal health is fragile, complex, and worth talking about openly. Sukai and Tan Songyun's story reminded people what commitment really looks like. Love is not glamorous. It is not easy. It does not always look like a fairy tale. Sometimes it is about staying. Sometimes it is about holding hands through the unknown. Sometimes love is the quiet choice to keep hoping even when fear surrounds you. Sukai, crying in the hallway of a hospital, was not a man who had broken. He was a man who had chosen not to look away. And in that choice, he reminded us all of what strength truly is. Eventually, Tan was allowed to return home under strict medical care. Their home became a sanctuary of recovery, filled with quiet, gentleness, and cautious optimism. They made no major public announcement. There was no need. The world had already witnessed the essence of what mattered. Their story needed no further proof. This chapter will be remembered not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. It will be remembered not for going viral, but because it stirred something universal. It reminded people that no amount of fame can shield us from the vulnerabilities of life, but also that love, when it is true, stands resilient in the face of all fear. We hope Tan Songyun continues to recover in peace. We hope their baby arrives safely and fills their lives with joy. And for those watching from afar, may this be a reminder that even when pain feels overwhelming, there is always love, steady, quiet, unshakable, waiting to carry us through. As days turned into weeks, the quiet in their home became a sanctuary. There was no loud celebration, no flood of updates, no dramatic public reappearance. What unfolded instead